This right here is gonna be the first time I've done a 3-part video series. You may be asking, what do we need a 3-part series for? You're gonna wanna hear this. So pretend you didn't know a thing about makeup. Some of y'all are probably like, I don't gotta pretend, because I don't. I'm gonna show you from start to finish a complete full face of makeup as if I was explaining it to someone who's never done makeup before. This is part 1, and it's gonna be brows and eyes. For the brows, I use 3 products. A brow pencil, preferably one that's angled, a clear brow gel, and a concealer of your choice. I like potted. First, I start out by spooling the brows. This is to make sure there's no tangles and then they're all in the direction I want them to be. If you are an oily person or you feel like a lot of skincare may be left over and oily, I'll take a powder puff or a powder brush and gently pat on top of my eyebrows to dry down any of that oil. Taking my brow pencil, I start off by making fake little strokes, just going from the base to the top of my brow. You can already see the difference. The front of this brow looks much fuller than this one. I will gently underline the remainder of my brow in whatever shape I want it to go. I like doing flicks rather than just straight up drawing one harsh line. My brows are sparse right at that arch, so I do fill that in a lot more than the rest of my brow. I will always make sure I have a sharp end of the brow. I feel like I like my brows a little longer, so I'm gonna add a couple more strokes to the front. It's that simple to extend your brow. You don't have to have brows to have brows. We just want our brows to generally look kind of what we want them to look like, but no worries on them being perfect because we're gonna use concealer to sculpt them out even more. But before that, you wanna take your brow gel. There are tinted brow gels that have color, but I prefer just using a clear one and making all the color come from our pencil. I like placing the brow hairs in the front more up, and then as it gets to the tail, leaned more to the side. That's just my desired shape. This brow gel is from Rare Beauty, and it is one of my favorite clear brow gels. A brow gel will also keep your brow hairs in place all day rather than flying around in the wind and falling down if you have thicker hairs. That's the purpose of this gel. Last step for the brows, carving it out with concealer. This is a potted concealer from Rare Beauty, and I absolutely love it. It has the perfect thickness to me. You're gonna wanna get a thin, flat brush. This is the one that I use. It is my MAC 248 brush, and it really gives you a thin base to carve your brow hairs out with. I'm just gonna coat both sides of this brush in my concealer and kind of flatten it out on the edge of your product. I lay my hand on my face so that I have full control, and I slowly but surely underline the front of my brow till I feel like I got my desired shape of brow. Without taking any more extra product, I'm just going to drag this concealer down to my lid and then pat in so that there is a seamless transition. We'll go in with some more concealer. I like to start almost midway throughout my brow and just sculpt out that tail end. And I'll just take my finger and blend that into the skin. I'm gonna finish up this side and we're gonna move on to the eyes. If you wanna take it a step further and really lock your makeup into your face, do what I'm about to do. Go ahead and take a powder puff and a translucent press powder. This one's from NYX Cosmetics. Lightly press over your brows. This just gives it an extra layer of set in. If you thought we're just gonna go straight in with an eyeshadow palette, that's where you made your mistake. No matter what eyeshadow I'm wearing, even just a little bit of bronzer on the lids, I always go in with some sort of eye base. This is the P. Louise Base Pro, and they happen to have different colors of a base. There are numerous other makeup brands that you can choose an eyeshadow primer from. I just happen to love this brand. You should always start off with something on your lids before eyeshadow. I'm just gonna blend this in with a concealer brush. I'm gonna do a neutral brown look today, but I'm gonna work with liquid eyeshadow along with powder eyeshadow so you guys can see how the difference is. Starting off with this liquid eye tint from Armani. This is in the shade 22M, and taking my Morphe M433 brush, I'm quite literally just smacking this in the center of my lid. I like working with a fluffy brush that has some substance to it when it comes to cream shadows. And I'm literally just gonna diffuse this all over the lid nice and gently. I love the feel and the look of a cream eyeshadow. It literally just blends so perfect and gives you a smooth base to work with. Now going in with some powders. This is the Makeup by Mario Master Mattes The Neutrals palette, and I feel like it's a really good one to have for beginners or even masters. It just has everything. I'm gonna lay down this warm chestnut color. This is gonna go all around my lid. Even though it's a small difference, as you can see, this eye doesn't have it on yet. Everything makes a difference when it comes to makeup. The magic is always in blending, so make sure you take your time when it comes to layering and blending shades because you might think it's enough, but girl, you can blend for a couple more minutes. I wanna have a little bit of fun with this look. So we're taking a smaller, thick, stubby brush. This is the Sephora Collection brush in 15, and I'm going in with black. I'm just gonna stamp out like a C, like a backwards C kind of, and just gently dust from side to side to diffuse it into that brown that we laid down. And I'm gonna do a normal C on this side. and do that same sweeping side to side motion. Mind you, my brush is barely even scratching the surface of my lid. We're not going harsh at all. As you can see, we're starting to get somewhere. I don't always get a new makeup brush every step of the way unless I used a brush that was extremely dark and I'm switching to a color that's not dark. I have this little thing from Morphe, and I think it's like a black brush cleaner. And I just swirl my brush on here. It's super handy, by the way. I'm now gonna go in with a lighter shade. Maybe this one mixed with a little bit of this one. I'm gonna lay this in the center of our circle that we created. And I'm just doing gentle patting motions. I want it a little warmer, so I'm taking that initial shade and I'm just gonna press that on top as well. And now I'm gonna kind of redo all the steps I just did, but with another layer of shadowing. So dusting a little bit of that black back. I'm just gonna grab this sandy cool tone brown and just go along the outside of this black shadow, sort of melting it into the abyss. Like, I don't want this to go in any specific direction. I just kind of want to mellow it down so it's not so harsh. As you can see, that is much better than this side where it's extremely harsh. I find the best blending motions is to tap and then sweep. Look at that. Gorgeous. Same for this part right here. I'm gonna do the same thing to this top area. This is the finished and blended and diffused eye compared to the one that we still need to diffuse. Okay, so the eyeshadow is done. I'm now gonna move on to a little extra step that I just feel like doing today because of the way my eyes look. I wanna add a little bit of a smoked out wing. So the Patrick Ta Major Dimensions palette has a little section right here that has cream shadows. I'm taking this very thin, squarish eyeshadow brush. I'm picking up some of that black cream shadow. Brush it off just a little bit so that we don't get such a harsh payoff. On the end part of my eyelid, not the beginning at all. Tapping, tapping, tapping. I'm gonna flick it out just a little bit because I want barely a wing. I'm making the shape and flicking it the opposite way to give that more smoked out effect. I feel like the eyes are giving deep today, so I am gonna take a gel liner and line my waterlines, gently pulling my eyelid down so that the waterline is exposed and very lightly and gently going along it. Your pencil you use should not hurt you in any way, shape, or form, and it should be creamy enough to just pay off without you having to go over it 100 times. Lashes. This is my lash curler from Flower Nose. It's one of my favorite lash curlers I've ever used. Gently place your lashes in the lash curler and gently clamp down. You have to do this gently, not as hard as possible, because I've had lash curlers pop and stab my eyeball. So you shouldn't be squeezing it that hard. My favorite mascara is the Hella Thick mascara by Fenty Beauty. She is on her last life, so we got another one. This is brown. This is brown. Well, we pulled the old one out. We're still using her. She got one more use in it. If I'm putting on falsies, I'll put like 1 to 2 coats of mascara, but if I'm not putting on falsies, I'll put around 3 coats. But I wanted to go a little dramatic with this eye. These are huge. These are huge, but let me show you what I do when it comes to my lashes. These are the Lily Lashes 3D Mink in So Extra Mink Nose. It is rare that I get a lash that I don't sort of customize myself. Here's the lash. I'm gonna cut it less than halfway in. We have the little corner lash. I'm gonna pull her apart and sort of shape her to be more wispy and spread apart. You will not catch me out here using a clear lash glue. I always use a black one. This one is from Duo, which I love their lash glue. I'm applying her straight to the band. Don't put it straight on your eye. Let it get tacky or else it's gonna slide around like you're on a freaking water slide, and we don't want it. We want it to stick wherever we put it. And I'm gonna lean my head back so I can see where that area is that this can lay, and I move my fingers back and forth until it is wedged in the area I want it to be in. Once it is on, I will tilt my head down to make sure my lash is actually on my lash line. Sort of just mess with it. Just mess with it to where the lashes are leaned and angled where you want them to be. I'm gonna go ahead and put the other one on and come back to see if we need to add another lash, if we need to add anything else, more mascara. I feel like I could use one more lash right here because it's kind of like a big jump from short lashes to long. This is my Viez Beauty Lash Cluster Kit, and I'm gonna take some 12s. Just kidding, we can go smaller, taking 10s. These are not the same brand whatsoever, but they have the same vibe, so why can't I use it? Look at this lash compared to this one that doesn't have that extra little lash right there. See the difference? All right, that was part 1, which was brows and eyes. Go to part 2 to see how I do this base.